Pravin Gordhan is called the Minister of Public Enterprises, but perhaps he should be called the Undertaker of Public Enterprises.
This is the news that Gordhan has finally admitted that all state-owned enterprises are basically forked and actually need to be put into possibly the private sector's hands, not necessarily because the private sector is the best place to put it, but the private sector is the only one with any money left.
And this is a huge, huge step forward because Pravin Gordhan is a communist, right? People keep telling us and trying to fact check us. Actually, he's not a communist. He was a member of the South African Communist Party until 2009, and then he became a member of the ANC. But deep down, that old turtle is very much a communist. He blew out the budget. He was Minister of Finance. We had all those junk ratings. And now he was Minister of Public Enterprises, and he spent the last 5 years digging the holes for our national infrastructure to go down to the shitter. State capture was a better time for state-owned enterprises than right now. And that is largely thanks to Pravin Gordhan.
Why exactly is this man still in a career? Why is he still so high up in the upper echelons of the ANC? They'll say he turned around SARS. So in other words, he was a really good tax collector. So he went to SARS and he made the state machinery even more efficient when it came through to expropriating people's wealth, which is what you could also deem tax, and redistributing it through other tax incentives like, I don't know, social grants. Very kind of communistic. But the problem becomes in that individuals assume that because he was able to turn around SARS, he would therefore be able to turn around Eskom, Transnet, and the rest of the other state-owned enterprises. Ramon, here's a problem. It's much more difficult running a business than it is just basically stealing tax.
He's never run a business in his life. He's been an activist since his early youth and a communist activist at the very same time. It is very easy as a communist to steal money for SARS. That's essentially your entire ideology. It's a very different proposition to actually manage and run businesses that benefit South Africans. But thanks to Pravin, no more railways, load shedding all the time, blown out budgets, social grants that can't be repaid, debt that can't be repaid. If there was an architect of the downfall of the state known as South Africa, Pravin Gordhan is it.
The fundamental issue is that state-owned enterprises are meant to basically work on a non-profit basis. We have this problem at Eskom. Eskom provides a service. Eskom should get paid for it. That money should go back into the network. However, what we see in places like Soweto, as an example, they don't pay. And so as a result, the enterprises don't generally actually have the money to self-sustain. We have a completely different problem, though, in Transnet, in that it does generate money, but the money isn't spent on the enterprise itself, which means that the enterprise is inevitably failing due to the collapse of the enterprise. We have the same problem in PROSA. Nobody's actually investing on the rails. We have railway tracks that are disused. We have trains that are all falling apart. The money's there, it's been generated, but as a result, the infrastructure is collapsing. Collapsed infrastructure leads to less individuals wanting to use their infrastructure and using alternatives instead, which means to a decrease in the revenue generated. All of this has been preceded by Gordhan because he's the one ultimately in charge of the enterprises as a whole. Now, who would have thought that a communist was not able to, one, generate his own cash, and two, actually able to just keep maintaining the infrastructures that's there? I mean, I'm surprised, mate. I mean, a communist who can't generate his own money? Wow.
Not only he cannot generate any money for the state-owned enterprises, but he completely fiddles with them at every single turn. There is not one state-owned enterprise of the big ones that has a permanent CEO. Every time the board says we want this guy as CEO, he says, nah, we can't do that. Eskom, no CEO. Denel, no CEO. South African Airways, 4 acting CEOs in a year. Pravin can't run a business, and then he tells the board, who are business people, how to run their business as well, and therefore paralyzing the entire thing. This man must go. There is no reason whatsoever for him to be in charge of absolutely anything, and fundamentally, you can't trust a commie, mate. You just can't.
The fundamental question is one that even the EFF have asked. Is Gordhan the best person to be running the state-owned enterprises? It would appear, based on the evidence, that the answer is no.
There's no turnaround scheme at the Department of Public Enterprises. All the SEOs have no turnaround plans, no contracts, no management structures, nothing whatsoever. And what does Gordhan say? He blames state capture. He blames the West. He blames the Russians. He blames everyone except for himself, because the only thing a communist doesn't want to take is responsibility.
We all need to tilt away from Eskom, but optimizing solar panels can be quite tricky. However, thanks to Solar Tilt, that problem is now in the past. Very much like Eskom. Solar Tilt's unique, patented system lets you tilt your solar panels towards the sun, which optimizes energy production throughout the entire day. And it can be installed on any roof type as well. Solar Tilt is made in South Africa for South African conditions, therefore making it almost impossible to steal thanks to its anti-theft bracket. Being proud patriots, Solar Tilt is made in South Africa for South Africans. So tilt away from the darkness and into the light with Solar Tilt. For more info, check out their website and Facebook page, which is linked below.